originally for Simon Peter, can also be asked to us. Okay, I'll admit it. Jesus hasn't stopped by to ask it to me personally, but that doesn't mean that he won't someday do just that. Okay, let's imagine a little scenario here. I'm going to try my best to do two voices. Let's see here. So imagine we finish the service today, rush back to get the coffee in the corner, maybe some snacks, stand around and chat for a bit with some friends, and then what do you know? Jesus walks in. Looking great in his finest first-century robes, I imagine, and says, "Hey, David, good old boy, so who do you say that I am?" Utterly shocked. Hopefully I can remember to look at the gospel reading for today and find the right answer. I know it's in here somewhere. Hey, that's cheating, says Jesus. Oh boy, I'm in trouble. Sorry, Jesus, the pressure's just too much. I mean, you're the Jesus. Have you heard? You know, the Son of God. It's a big deal. It's okay, he says. Simon Peter had trouble with that too. But what about all of the other times I asked you? Huh? What are you talking about? I think I would remember if I saw you. No, I asked you through the people all around you throughout your life so far. In your everyday interactions with them, you had the chance to say who I am, but so many times you wanted to sound, politically correct or not too offensive to people with different religions, or just not too awkward by bringing religion into things. I didn't ask directly, but the question was still there, David. Who do you say that I am? But Simon Peter got it right, didn't he? Yes, Peter, that's right, whom I built the church upon. He faltered just as much as he got things right. Pardon me, Jesus, but wouldn't you want to build the church on a more solid foundation than Peter? I mean, I don't mean to, cast aspersions or anything. Sure, he walked on water with you. I mean, that's pretty great. But he faltered and started to sink when he started to lose faith a little bit. And even the passage after today's, if you read ahead in the gospel, his answer was so bad that you basically called him Satan. That's a pretty bad thing. Wouldn't you want someone who gets it right more often than old Peter? But that's just it. What he got right wasn't this thing or that thing. It was the leap of faith that he took. It's right there in today's reading when I said, "For flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father in heaven." Peter blurted out a faithful statement that day that he could not have known without revelation from God. It just came to him. It was unexplainable by merely human means. Okay, that's the end of my acting here, and that's the end of that scene. I hope that was an interesting image. I don't know how this imagined conversation between Jesus and myself would really go, but it sure is fun to think about and terrifying. In preparing for this sermon, I asked a few people these questions first. First, who do you say that Jesus is? Okay. And secondly, why bother with church? The most common reply was something like this. Oh, that's a difficult question to answer. I mean, people have all kinds of different reasons to go to church. You have to keep up appearances. Or maybe I go to church for getting a sense of comfort. It's comforting to go to church. It's a good thing. Still another person said, well, I want to avoid going to hell. Okay. Good answer. All right, yeah, I suppose so. Pressing further, I asked the few individuals, well, other things can comfort too, and keep up appearances, like, going to the gym, get some muscles, yeah, that keeps up appearances. Eating healthy foods, yeah, that's a good thing. Doing yoga feels great, very comforted, love it. These are things that can comfort. Okay, well, maybe that third thing, yoga is not going to help avoiding hell, but what is it about church that is so important? People thought some more. I didn't get the answer that I was looking for. I was looking for something similar to what Simon Peter said in today's gospel reading, that Jesus is the Son of God. Plain and simple, right? That's a good reason. And that should be enough of a reason. God is what is so important. And what I'm discovering, talking to people, is that people show up for God. Is that for people to show up for God, there has to be a very real sense of faith, something that brings them in. What that looks like, I think, is different depending on the person. But when it comes down to it, there has to be some sort of leap of faith. Like Simon Peter, blurting out the correct answer, for instance. For some people, it is a feeling, just a sense that it is important to be here. And they're right. Some people may even have a dream where God explicitly tells them, hey, get out of bed and go to church. Or some variation on that. Concerning the question of God, a quote that often comes to mind, paraphrased from the 13th century, a theologian, St. Thomas Aquinas. For those of faith, no evidence is necessary. For those without faith, no evidence will suffice. I'll say it another way, because sometimes these words get a little funny. To one who has faith, no explanation is necessary. To one without faith, no explanation is possible for God. Sometimes that quote can feel like it is making a separation between faith and reason, that they are opposites. But I think that they are more closely linked. In fact, that one, faith, is not possible without the other, reason, or vice versa. To further solidify this thought, I'd like to read a statement that a Mr. John Lennox, professor of mathematics at Oxford University, read concerning faith and reason. It's a long quotation, and the guy is from Oxford, so buckle up. If it helps, imagine it being read in an awesome Irish accent. I can't do it, but just imagine it. Here it goes. I believe in God. I believe in the supernatural God who created the heavens and the earth. I believe in a God who holds the heavens and the earth in existence. I believe that on the basis of rational evidence. Science, of course, marvelous as it is limited. Even a Nobel Prize winner, by analyzing a cake, cannot tell you why it was made. But old Aunt Matilda, who made it, she can tell you. She can reveal it to you. But if she doesn't reveal it to you, you will never know. And that brings me to my next evidence, he says. It's the same with the universe. We can analyze it magnificently, but ultimately, if it has a maker, and I believe it has, only he can tell us what it's all about. And he's done so with the powerful narrative of the Bible. In particular, in its analysis of the problem with humanity, not simply in terms of behavioral breakdown between people, but a vertical breakdown of trust between us and the Creator. The unique solution to that problem is not simply in terms of human ethical development, although that's very important, but in terms of something far deeper altogether, the restoration of a fractured relationship with God through the salvation he has brought through Jesus Christ, a radical relationship that empowers us to live ethically from God. And here we reach what for me is the chief evidence, not only for the existence, but the nature of God. It is Jesus Christ. He it was who not only taught the golden rule, but embodied it, fed the hungry, healed the sick and suffering, and welcomed society's outcasts, brought utter respect to the marginalized and ashamed. And he's brought forgiveness and peace to multi-millions around the world. He is able to do this, of course, because though he was a man, he uniquely never was only a man, but rather God become human. That's the end of the quote. I told you it was a long one. So, even though Mr. Lennox uses a few more words, he gets to the same point that Simon Peter got to, that Jesus is God. And there we have it. A fancy-pants Oxford professor, mathematician nonetheless, on one hand, and a first-century fisherman, Simon Peter, on the other hand. Both of them reaching the same conclusion. Jesus is God. Amen. Please stand for the hymn of praise. Great is thy faithfulness.